Now, Illinois Republican Adam Kinzinger, thanks so much for being with us, Congressman. Really appreciate it. Does this bill have any chance of passing, seriously?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, it's going to be tough. If you look at it this way, we've got about probably 25 more we need to get than we got from the bill last week. I think we can get it done. But the president needs to lean into this, I think. So from a lot of members of my party, they want to hear from the president. They want to hear that this is something he supports. He was in front of our conference, last week, and he says, I support you guys 1,000%. So I think he needs to be more clear about that. But we're going to go ahead anyway. And frankly, I think the bill's good. It's got verifiable border security. It also takes care of the 1.8 million in the DACA population and ultimately gives them a path to citizenship pretty far down the road, and a few other things. So I'm actually kind of confused as to why there's no Democrats on board, but there won't be. I think we can get it done as Republicans hope for.
You just gave the most optimistic assessment of the chances for this bill that I have heard. The question is, are you a hopeless optimist or just an optimist there? Look, who knows? I do not believe the votes are there based on what I heard. You still seem optimistic, and you're in the inside. I guess we will wait and see on that.
I think it's possible. If to guess today, it would fail. But I think, we still have another day left. They're working on a couple of issues. It just depends if my side really wants to fix this. Most of us do, but, there's some over in our friends in the Freedom Club that we need kind of to come on board.
You don't think they want to fix it? You don't think they want to fix this?
I think they, a lot of the times, use perfect as kind of the enemy of good. There's always something in every bill, everywhere, at all times that you're not going to like. Sometimes you just have to say, this is good, but you're never going to get perfect, so I don't know.
What do you think when the president says you do not need more judges at the border? Do you agree with that?
Well, no, I think we do need it. Part of the whole issue we're in is a backlog in terms of getting people through the system. So I'd like to see more judges. I'd like to see more capacity there. People that come and declare asylum, they're going to have a hearing, and we're going to have to figure out if there's a legitimate threat to them. So I think to any extent we can have more judges.
So you think he's wrong on that point?
Yeah, I don't agree with them. I'd put more judges for sure.
What about the suspension of due process? The White House says it's not the suspension of due process, but what about the president's plan to deport people without going through a legal proceeding?
Well, it depends. See, I don't know the details of, is there something in place where you can already do that without having to put them through? If there is, then utilize that. If there isn't, then I think we have to do whatever is by law for anybody that crosses the border. Here's bottom line. I want people to be treated humanely all around the world, including people that come to our border. The other point, though, is if you come illegally to the border of the United States of America, it's not going to be some kind of fairy tale. You will be detained. You will not get into the United States of America. And frankly, if you send your children on a train unaccompanied, or you come with your children, it's also not going to be a fairy tale. That's a very dangerous journey.
Is the administration doing enough? Is the administration doing enough at this moment to reunite the 2,000 children it chose to separate from their parents?
Well, I'm getting a briefing today on what HHS is doing in that, so I'll know a lot more.
Well, let us know.
I will. It's a big bureaucratic issue once you have people separated, now to track them down and to track their parents down.
It's a bureaucratic issue they created.
It's, to an extent I agree, but this is also something, keep in mind, the whole Flores decision came under Bill Clinton. The idea, they had them separated, and it was at that time under Janet Reno that they made the decision that after 20 days, kids had to either be reunited with their parents or something. So this isn't anything that's brand new.
No, given that it happened during the Clinton administration, they had more than a decade to prepare for the consequences of their action, though. That's another way to look at that right there.
It's happened everywhere.
I do want to ask you about a different subject, and I know this is something you are deeply concerned about, which is what's going on in Syria. I should say still going on in Syria every day. And the whole world is watching. The Russians have now conducted airstrikes in southwestern Syria. Forces loyal to Assad are making an advance there. How do you see things on the ground there, and what is this administration doing about it?
Not enough. I mean, if you look back at what this administration has done, we have struck regime assets in de-escalation zones. We've shot down, for the first time in 20 years, we had an air-to-air shoot-down against a Syrian jet. We've bombed the Red Line situation twice. We killed over 100 Russian mercenaries. There has been a lot of action, but not enough. Bill Clinton, and I say this with a heavy heart, he says his biggest regret of his presidency was inaction in Rwanda. I think President Obama, and frankly, hopefully not, but at this point on track, President Trump are going to say that some of their biggest regrets when we look back is inaction in Syria. 500,000 dead Syrians. This has generated ISIS. This will generate ISIS too. And I'm not saying a full intervention by U.S. forces, but I think we have to hold strong in that area. And unfortunately, I don't think we're doing enough.
The president wants to sit down with Vladimir Putin later this summer. Is this something he should address or demand action from?
Yeah, look, I have no problem with the president sitting down with Vladimir Putin, but you go in from a position of strength. Keep in mind, the Russians said if you bomb Assad, this is going to be, the beginning of World War III. We bombed Assad. They did absolutely nothing because the Russians really don't have the capability. This is not the old Soviet Union. So the president can go in from a strong position and say, here's what I want from you guys. You extract yourself from Syria. Here's some deals we can work. But this is no go anymore, so we'll see what happens.
You have to have a will to do that, and it's unclear at this point what this administration does want to do that. I want to do a dramatic reading from a statement put out by the president since you and I have been talking right now. And it gets to the issue. I love that smile. You know what's coming. This gets to the issue of Harley-Davidson and trade and the tariffs that the president has placed on steel and aluminum. Harley-Davidson has announced, as you know, they're going to move production of some motorcycles overseas. The president just wrote, a Harley-Davidson should never be built in another country, never. Their employees and customers are already very angry at them. If they move, watch. It will be the beginning of the end. They surrendered. They quit. The aura will be gone, and they will be taxed like never before. The President of the United States threatening not just an American company, but Harley-Davidson. Your reaction?
So, look, I've gotten to know President Trump over the last couple of years. I like him. But one of my biggest problems is when he punches down. Punching down, pointing out Harley-Davidson or pointing out people by name. Look, Harley-Davidson, I don't know all the details, but from what I saw, it's a $2,200 increase on the final process or final price of the bike with these tariffs. Yeah, per bike. And that's a significant, it's going to cost, that's going to impact sales. I don't have a problem with the president taking on China. There are so many unfair practices that we could do a whole hour on it. But when you also take on Canada and Mexico and Europe at the same time, I feel like it's just like trying to toss grenades everywhere instead of being focused on bringing our allies together to get more fair trade practices in China. I don't like tariffs. I don't like trade wars. I have a lot of farmers in my district. They don't like it either.
Not just taking on Canada and China, taking on Harley, it seems that the president is this morning.
Right, don't take on Harley. They're cool. It's a great company.
You did say more than a year ago, Mr. President, it is incumbent upon all of us to tone down the divisive political hashtag restore civility. Has he done enough? Has he done anything on that front?
I think everybody needs to do it. Look, as I've mentioned, when the president puts out a tweet I don't like, I'll say it. I like him individually. I like him as a person. I actually think he's a really funny guy, and I think he's smarter than most people give him credit for. But on this Twitter stuff, I just think, again, when you're president, it's one thing to fight. It's another thing to kind of punch down. But that is on all sides now. When you have people confronting people in public for eating dinner, we have a right to a political opinion in this country. We have a right to work for the government, regardless of whether you like the president.
Is the tone coming from the top, the right tone?
I think, look, no. I mean, there's so many bad tones everywhere right now. But that's very different, what the president's saying, than, when Maxine Waters comes out and says, confront everybody in public at a gas station, at a restaurant, or whatever. All this stuff has to end. You can have political debates all you want, but allow somebody to go out to eat with their family, for God's sakes. That's a really basic thing that we like to do in this country. And if even restaurants become political, there is nothing sacred anymore, and that needs to stop.
Well, as far as tones go, we appreciate your dulcet tones, Congressman Kinzinger.
Thanks.
Thank you for being with us this morning. I do appreciate the discussion.
Yeah, take care.
Erica?
Dana,